What if I told you that we're already preparing for life on Mars, at the bottom of our own planet? That's right. The coldest, most isolated place on Earth, Antarctica, is actually our best test site for how humans might survive on Mars. It sounds wild, but stick with us. The more you learn, the more it makes sense. Let's start with something simple: temperature. In Antarctica, Russian scientists once recorded -89 degrees Celsius at Vostok Station. Your spit would freeze before it hit the ground. Even in summer, and we're talking Antarctic summer here, you're lucky if it gets to -20 degrees. Now, Mars isn't much friendlier. Sure, near the equator on a good day, it might hit 20 degrees above zero, but most of the time it's -58 degrees on average. At the poles, it drops to -153. Your lungs would freeze solid in seconds without protection. If you notice, in both Antarctica and Mars, if you're not inside a heated shelter, your life would be in danger. Then there's the air itself. At Dome C, Antarctica's highest research station, scientists struggle to think clearly. They get headaches. They feel tired all the time. Because the air is so thin, their brains don't get enough oxygen. On Mars, the air pressure there is less than 1% of what we have on Earth. If you took off your helmet on Mars, your blood would literally start to boil, not from heat, but from the lack of pressure. This means both places force you to live the same way, trapped inside pressurized buildings, breathing recycled air, completely dependent on machines to keep you alive. The third killer is radiation. Antarctica's ozone hole exposes researchers to dangerous UV levels during summer months. At Rothera Station, scientists report sunburn through clothing and snow blindness without proper protection. Mars is much worse. Without Earth's magnetic field, the surface gets hammered by cosmic radiation, 2.5 times stronger than the International Space Station experiences. That's 8,000 millirems per year, enough to significantly increase cancer risk during long stays. But the cold, the thin air, the radiation, none of that compares to what these places do to your mind. Let me tell you about Concordia Station. Every winter, 13 people get locked inside this base for 9 months. For 9 months. There are no visitors, no possibility of rescue if something goes wrong. For 4 months, the sun doesn't rise at all. The nearest humans are 600 kilometers away. At another station, compare that to Mars. The nearest humans would be 225 million kilometers away. If something went wrong, a rescue mission would take over 2 years to reach you. But here's the thing. The psychological pressure feels almost identical. That's why the European Space Agency calls Concordia the closest thing to a real Mars mission. NASA is so convinced of this connection that they station a doctor there every winter, not to treat injuries, but to study how isolation messes with people's minds. Dr. Robert Schwartz, an astrophysicist from the University of Minnesota, holds the record for the most winters spent at the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station. He spent 14 winters there between 1996 and 2018. He called the experience sensory deprivation on an industrial scale. The endless white, the same faces every day, the complete dependence on artificial environments. It breaks people down in ways you wouldn't expect. NASA studies show that Antarctic crews experience the same stress patterns they expect on Mars missions. Sleep gets completely messed up. Small groups start fighting over the stupidest things. People get seriously depressed when it's dark for months. During emergencies, they become dangerously overconfident or completely freeze up. The solutions being developed in Antarctica, structured daily schedules, recreational spaces, even greenhouses that serve as bright, warm oases, are becoming the exact blueprint for keeping Mars crews sane. But this isn't just about the conditions. Let's look at the buildings in Antarctica, which are like prototypes for Mars bases. Germany's Neumayer 3 station is a 2,300-ton building that sits on hydraulic legs. Every year, as snow piles up around it, the station literally lifts itself higher. It rises above its problems, staying functional no matter what nature throws at it. This is the same kind of smart engineering Mars bases will need when dust storms bury solar panels or when shifting ground threatens foundations. Then there's India's Parati station, built from 134 shipping containers in just one summer. Princess Elizabeth Station runs on a completely zero-emission power grid. Britain's Halley 6 station sits on giant skis and can relocate itself when ice conditions become dangerous. What do they all show? They all show one thing. If we can build smart, self-sufficient bases in Antarctica, we can do it on Mars too, because the conditions are somewhat similar. But surviving in space means growing your own food. You can't bring all your food to Mars. You'll need to grow it there. That's why at the South Pole Station, scientists have been growing lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and herbs indoors since 2018. They use hydroponic systems, growing plants without soil, using only water and nutrients. The crops grow in controlled environments that maintain perfect temperature and humidity. The project leader said, "This is our model for how colonies on other planets might grow food." They're proving that humans can produce fresh food anywhere, even in the most hostile environments on Earth. Antarctica also helps us test space gear. In 2023, NASA took Mars rovers to Antarctica's dry valleys. These valleys are so barren and lifeless. Hollywood uses them as Mars in movies. Students tested prototype drills called Icebreaker. Icebreakers are specialized tools designed to dig through frozen ground and search for signs of life beneath the surface. These drills can bore through ice and rock while keeping samples sterile, exactly what we'll need to search for life on Mars. Both ESA and NASA test life support systems at multiple Antarctic stations. These systems recycle 85% of wastewater, turning it back into drinking water. Air purification systems scrub out carbon dioxide and generate fresh oxygen. Waste processing systems turn human waste into fertilizer for growing food. Every single system being perfected in Antarctica is on the critical path to Mars survival, and some missions in Antarctica are full Mars simulations. Scientists add fake communication delays to simulate the 4 to 22-minute delay between Earth and Mars. Not only that, Mars pressure suits get tested in Antarctic blizzards because the conditions are so similar. If a suit can keep you alive in an Antarctic storm, it has a good chance of working on Mars. Additionally, the European Space Agency runs complete Mars mission simulations at Concordia Station. Teams practice spacewalk procedures, test emergency plans, and live exactly like they would on Mars. They even talk to fake mission control using realistic Mars communication delays. When medical emergencies happen, they practice using only the supplies and tools a Mars crew would have. No calling for help, no emergency flights out, just like on Mars. Private companies like SpaceX are learning from it. While Elon Musk figures out how to get to Mars, the life support technologies being proven in Antarctica are exactly what his Mars cities will need. Every innovation in Antarctica is becoming a Mars standard. Parati's container construction proves Mars habitats can be delivered in pieces. Princess Elizabeth's zero-emission power shows Mars bases can be energy independent. Neumayer III's hydraulic lifting proves structures can adapt to changing environments. Concordia's closed-loop life support proves humans can live indefinitely on recycled resources. Antarctica used to be about studying ice and penguins. Not anymore. Now, it's where humanity learns to live on another world. These Antarctic bases aren't just extreme research stations anymore. They might be the final exams for future Martians. When you look at these engineering marvels and survival systems, you're looking at the Mars colonial blueprint. The question isn't whether we can survive in Antarctica. We're already doing that. The real question is whether we're secretly practicing for Mars. And when you connect all these dots, the technology, the isolation training, the life support systems, the psychological preparation, the answer becomes crystal clear. We absolutely are. Every single day in Antarctica, scientists and engineers are solving the exact problems that Mars colonists will face. The killing cold, the crushing isolation, the need for renewable energy, the challenge of growing food in artificial environments, The psychology of small groups trapped together for months with no way out. Here's my challenge for you. If you had to spend 9 months in one of these Antarctic stations as Mars training, which would you choose? Princess Elizabeth, with its renewable power and zero emissions? Neumayer 3, with its rising floors and adaptive engineering? Bharati, with its quick-build container design? Or Concordia, with its complete isolation and ultimate psychological challenge? The choice you make might just be the same choice future Mars colonists will face, because way down in Antarctica, tomorrow is already being built. And that tomorrow, it's not on Earth, it's on Mars. Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more videos. We will meet you in the next one.